الرحيم صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله وعلى أهل بيتك المظلومين صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة يا غريب يا شهيد كربلاء فيا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بإمامنا أبي عبد الله الحسين. Today is the day of Ashura. We begin by offering our condolences to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa For if he was present today, we'd all go to him and offer our aza and condolences for the martyrdom of his grandson Hussein. On this day, we give our condolences to Al-Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, the commander of the faithful, Ali ibn Abi Talib. We offer our condolences to Lady Fatima salamullahi alayha for the sacrifice of her son Hussein. We give our condolences to Al-Imam al-Hassan for this tragedy in Karbala. And on this day, we give our condolences to the master of our time, Al-Imam al-Mahdi Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajah. The Imam alayhi salam, who in Ziyarat al-Nahiya says, I cry morning and night for the tragedy of Hussein, to the point where instead of tears, I cry blood. Addamallahu laka al-ajra ya sahib al-zaman. On this tragic day of Ashura, when you remember the tragedy of what happened to your grandfather Hussein, to your aunt Zainab, there is no day like the day of Ashura. For the greatest tragedy in history happened on this day. It is indeed a very difficult and tragic day. Now, my dear brothers and sisters, we will recite the Maqtal of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. This Maqtal is recited only on this day, once a year, as we do not have the heart to really listen to the Maqtal of Imam Hussein except on such a day, the day of Ashura, because no heart can handle to hear about the tragedies that befell Al-Imam al-Hussein salawatullahi alayh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Imam Hussein alayhi salam woke up on the day of Ashura and prayed the morning prayers with his companions. Then he stood and addressed them and told them that Allah has permitted your deaths and my death today, so have patience and fight. Today is our day. Then he prepared them for the battle, and they were about 82 brave and courageous warriors, his companions and his family members, all ready to fight the enemies. Zuhair ibn al-Qayn was entrusted with the right wing, and Habib ibn Madahir with the left wing of the Imam's army. The standard was given to Al-Abbas because he was the bravest and the most courageous. On the other hand, Umar ibn Sa'ad, may Allah curse him, the commander of the army of Yazid, had organized his army and came out with 30,000 troops to fight Al-Imam al-Hussein. Amr ibn al-Hajjaj was entrusted with the right wing, and Shimr ibn Dhil-Jawshan with the left wing of Yazid's army. Azra ibn Qais was put in charge of the horsemen, and Shibith ibn Rab'i in charge of the foot soldiers. The standard was given to an evil man by the name of Dhuwayd. When the opposing army advanced towards Imam Hussein, he raised his hands and supplicated, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma anta thiqati fi kulli karb. Oh Allah, I put my trust in you in every tribulation. See how Aba Abdullah submits himself to Allah in these very difficult moments. You are my hope in every distress. You are my trust and provider in every affair that falls upon me. بله ببینید اینجا آقا امام حسین سلام الله علیه به خدا توجه می کند. امام حسین سلام الله علیه دستانشان را میبرد بالا، دعا میکند، به خدا پناه میبرد، میگوید خدایا هر مشکلی که من دارم من پناهم شماست. بله آقا میفرمایند و من آن را به پیشگاه تو آوردم، اون بلایی که نازل میشه، اون مصیبتی که نازل میشه و از آن به تو شکوه کردم و فقط به سوی تو رو کردم و نه دیگران و چاره اش را از غیر تو نجستم. پس تو مرا گشایش دادی و آن غمها را زدودی. خداوندا تو ولی من هستی، تو ولی هر نعمت و صاحب هر نیکی و غایت هر خواسته. Then after the Imam finishes his dua, the enemy approached the tents of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and observed the fire that the Imam's companion had lit when they dug a trench around the tents so they could stop the enemies from charging and attacking at the women and the children from all directions. They just wanted them to come from one direction so the men could defend them. So one of the opponent's horsemen cried out loudly. He said, Hussein, are you rushing towards hellfire in this world? Before the day of resurrection, look at their cruelty. Imam Hussein alayhi salam asked, who is this person? It sounds like Shimr ibn Dhil-Jawshan. They told him, yes, Aba Abdullah, this is Shimr ibn Dhil-Jawshan. The Imam alayhi salam told him, no, you are the one who is deserving of the fire of hell. Muslim ibn Awsajah said to Imam Hussein, please grant me permission to kill him. I can strike him, he's within my reach. Imam Hussein alayhi salam said, no, I do not wish to start the battle. The Imam did not want to be the one to start the battle. He did not give him permission to start the battle by killing Shimr ibn Dhil-Jawshan, even though he knew what a vicious man this was. Yes, O believers, when the enemies began to approach Imam Hussein, he called for his horse and he addressed them loudly so that everyone could hear. The Imam looked at them and he said, people, listen to what I have to say and do not rush me, that I may admonish you your duties toward me and explain to you the reason why I came to you. Indeed, my guardian is Allah, who revealed the book and befriends the righteous. When the sisters of Imam Hussein alayhi salam And the women of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alih, they heard this speech, they came out of the tents lamenting and crying, shouting, Wa Muhammada, Wa Aliya, Wa Fatimata. The daughters of Imam Hussein wept in a very loud voice. Imam Hussein sent to them his brother Al-Abbas and his son Ali al-Akbar, and he told them, console them, try to stop their crying, because many days of mourning and tears are going to come. Let them save their tears for later. Yes, when the women calmed down, Imam Hussein alayhi salam continued his speech. He glorified Allah and he praised him, and he sent his blessings on the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. One reporter said, by God, I have never heard a speaker more eloquent than him in my life. Then the Imam alayhi salam said to them, trace my descendants and reflect upon who I am. Then think and rebuke yourselves. Do you think it is lawful to kill me and violate my sanctity? Am I not the son of your prophet's daughter? Am I not the son of your prophet's successor, Ali ibn Abi Talib? Did you not hear the well-known statement of the prophet about me and my brother? Al-Hasan wal-Husayn, Sayyida Shababi Ahl al-Jannah. Hassan and Hussein are the masters of the youth of paradise. Then Imam Hussein said to them, if you do not believe me and you're in doubt, ask the companions of the Prophet, ask Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, ask Aba Sa'id al-Khudari, ask Sahl ibn Sa'ad al-Sa'idi, ask Zayd ibn Arqam. They're all the companions of the Prophet, and they will confirm to you that they heard this from my grandfather. Is this not sufficient to stop you from shedding my blood? Ya Allah, what a heart of stone did his enemies have. Then Imam Hussein continued, okay, if you doubt what I have said, do you also doubt that I am the son of the daughter of your messenger? Do you doubt that I am the grandson of the Prophet? By God, there is no such person but me amongst the planet right now. Search amongst yourselves or in the entire world. Tell me whether you seek revenge for someone among you whom I have killed, for property that I usurped, or for an injury that I afflicted. No one responded to Imam Hussein. Then he called out, O Shibith ibn Rab'i, O Hijr ibn Abjar, O Qais ibn al-Ash'ath, O Zayd ibn al-Harith, did you not write to me, come to Kufa and we will fight for you, and now you have come here to kill me? They replied, no, we did not do so. We do not know what you're talking about. Imam Hussein alayhi salam responded, he said, Subhanallah, by God you certainly did so, but now you are denying it. At this point, Umar ibn Sa'ad moved forward toward the camp of the Imam, and he said, Dhuwayd, bring out the standard. He then put an arrow in his bow. He directed it towards the camp of Imam Hussein and released it, saying, bear witness that I was the first to strike. Thereafter, the two camps began to shoot at each other, and the war effectively began. The companions of Imam Hussein here, one by one, they went to sacrifice their lives. All those great companions, it was during these moments that they fell to their martyrdom. Habib ibn Madahir, John ibn Huway, Wahab al-Kalbi, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, Burayr al-Hur, all of them. During this 1 hour, about 50 or so of the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, they fell to the ground. Hardly any of the Imam's men escaped being shot by an arrow. The arrows came raining down on them. Yes, the Imam alayhi salam said to his companions, continue fighting. The war has begun. Your fate awaits you. Yes, then Imam Hussein alayhi salam, when his companions all were killed, only his family members remained. All of Ashab al-Hussein were now martyred in Karbala. When they were killed, Imam Hussein looked at the horizon, he looked to the left, he looked to the right, he saw all of them on the plains of Karbala, either beheaded or the arrows in their chests, they bled to death. The Imam alayhi salam, he stood and cried, يا أصحاب الصفا ويا فرسان الهيجة, O the warriors of the battle and the horsemen of combat, why is it that I call you, but you do not answer me, and I seek your help, but you cannot hear me? Are you asleep? Please, my dear companions, answer my call. Or is it that your death has come between us, so you cannot hear me? Yes, it is this world that has betrayed you, or else you would not leave your Imam all alone in Karbala between the enemies. Then, O believers, in a very heartbreaking tone, Imam Hussein alayhi salam began to call on them one by one. يا حبيب ابن مظاهر ويا زهير ابن القيس ويا مسلم ابن عوسجة ويا برير. Imam missed his companions. He called on them, but how can they answer you, O Abu Abdullah, when they're all massacred? No one from the companions of Imam Hussein remained now. Everyone was killed. Only those who remained were his household, 28 loyal, brave, courageous relatives of Imam Hussein, and they were determined to face death with their might and dignity. Yes, now came the turn for the family of Hussein. Do you know who was the first one to go out to the battlefield? The first of them to go to the battlefield was Ali al-Akbar. When Imam Hussein sent Ali al-Akbar to the battlefield and he gave him permission to fight, his eyes brimmed with tears. Then he looked to the sky and he said, "Oh Allah, you are a witness against them that the most resembling person in appearance and character and speech to your prophet has come out to you. And whenever we would miss Rasulullah, we would look at the face of this young man. Now he has come to them. Oh Allah, bear witness what they are doing to us." Ali al-Akbar fought intensely and then returned to his father saying, "Oh father, أبا يا حسين العطش قد قتلني وثقل الحديد أجهدني فهل إلى شربة من ماء." My dear father, do you see, thirst is killing me, and the heaviness of this armor and sword is exhausting me. Do you have a cup of water? Do you have something to give me? The Imam alayhi salam told him, "My dear son Ali, be patient. Soon your grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, he will give you from that heavenly cup. You'll never go thirsty after that." Yes, O believers, Ali al-Akbar farewelled his father for the last time. How difficult is this moment, Ya Allah. Then he went to his mother Layla and he farewelled her for the last time. He went to the battlefield. Ali Akbar courageously resumed the battle. Then, O believers, the tragedy came when one of those enemies by the name of Murra ibn Munqidh, he came and he said, may all the sins of the Arabs burden me if I do not deprive his father and mother of him. Ali Akbar continued to attack the people until this evil man Murra approached him. He made a surprise attack and he struck him on his chest. Yes, Ali Akbar collapsed on the head of his horse. When the enemy saw that, they surrounded him, shooting him with arrows, hitting him with their swords. At that point, Ali al-Akbar, as he fell to the ground, he called, Abba, Abba, Ya Hussein, alayka minni salam. My father, Hussein, this is my final farewell to you. Yes, just as you promised me. Now my grandfather Rasulullah has given me a cup. I'll never go thirsty again. And my father, there's another cup waiting for you. Ali al-Akbar fell to the ground. Imam Hussein rushed to him, but it was too late. The Imam looked at the body of Ali. Ali was dismembered into so many pieces. You know what the Imam said? بني علي على الدنيا بعدك العفا. My dear son Ali, how can I live after you? There's no taste to life after you. You left me all alone now. پسرم جانم علی چه خوشی هست دیگه بابات بمونه تو این دنیا. ای علی منو تنها گذاشتی، میروی و میبری همراه خود جان مرا. ای علی جان صبر کن بابا، ببین حال پریشان مرا. Yes, the Imam alayhi salam, he asked the members of Bani Hashim to help him carry the body of Ali al-Akbar to the tent. Soon after, O believers, the nephew of Imam Hussein, al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan, came, and he told his uncle, Ya Aba Abdullah, oh my dear uncle, please give me permission to fight. Initially, Imam Hussein refused, but then Imam Hussein saw the letter of his brother Imam al-Hasan telling al-Qasim to support his uncle Hussein when he sees him lonely in the battlefield. So finally, Imam Hussein gave him permission to go to the battlefield. Al-Qasim put on his armor and he went into the battlefield. This young, beautiful boy that was like a shining moon went and bravely fought. Yes, then Amr ibn, and he said these lines of poetry: In tunkiruni fa ana najlul Hasan, سبط النبي المصطفى والمؤتمن. If you do not know me, then I am the son of Al-Hasan. I am the grandson of the trusted prophet. I am here to defend Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. O believers, he fought very courageously, but then the strap of his sandal broke. O believers, the tragedy came when he bent down to fix his sandal. One of those enemies by the name of Amr ibn Sa'ad ibn Nufail, he charged at him. He struck him, giving him a fatal blow. At that point, Al-Qasim, he fell to the ground. Assalamu alayka ya Amma. Peace be upon you, oh my dear uncle. These are my final moments. Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan, he fell to the ground. Imam Hussein, like a lion, he charged, and he killed the man who killed Al-Qasim. Al-Imam al-Hussein sat next to Al-Qasim. The Imam told him, oh my dear Qasim, forgive me that you call on your uncle, but your uncle could not help you. Yes, what can I do, my dear Qasim? On the day of judgment, your father Hassan, your grandfather Rasulullah, will be the opponents of those who killed you, Al-Qasim. Then Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he took the body of Al-Qasim back to the tents and he put it next to the body of Ali and Al-Akbar. Ya Allah, imagine Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. He looks to the right, he sees the disfigured, dismembered body of his son Ali al-Akbar. He looks to the left, he sees his beloved nephew Al-Qasim killed. Ya Allah. But now the tragedy is intensifying, Ya Mu'mineen. One after the other, the relatives of Imam Hussein all advanced to the battlefield and they were martyred. Now only Al-Abbas, Abul Fadl Al-Abbas, Qamar Bani Hashim, he remained. Al-Abbas could no longer bear seeing his friends and family members being killed one after the other. He could no longer endure hearing the cries of the children crying, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. We are thirsty, we are thirsty. Al-Abbas came to Imam Hussein. He told him, my dear Imam, please give me permission to go out and fight. The Imam said, my brother Abbas, you are the bearer of my standard. How can I let you go? You represent my army. You're my last defender and the defender of these women and children. But he insisted. Imam Hussein told him, okay, if you have to go, then at least try to bring some water for these women and children. Al-Abbas alayhi salam mounted his horse and he headed towards the Furat River. 4,000 men were guarding the Euphrates, but Al-Abbas moved all of them out of the way. And finally, he reached the river. Oh believers, he looked at the water, he saw his reflection in the water, but he remembered the thirsty face of Hussein. He remembered the cries of Al-Atash, Al-Atash, Tishnam, Tishnam. He remembered all these cries of the women and the children. So while he was in the river about to drink, he spilled the water when he remembered the thirst of his brother, and he began to speak to himself. يا نفس من بعد الحسين هوني وبعده لا كنت أن تكوني هذا حسين وارد المنون وتشربين بارد المعين تالله ما هذا فعال ديني. He basically addresses his soul. He says, Ya nafs, O soul, humble yourself before Hussein. This is Hussein being surrounded by death and you want to drink water? La wallah, I swear by God, that's not what my religion teaches me. I will be loyal to my brother. Basically, I will die like my brother Hussein. Yes, O believers, he threw the water and he filled the bucket with water and he headed towards the tents of the women and the children. As he was heading back to the tent, O believers, they realized that if Hussein and Abbas would drink the water, they would regain their strength and they would eliminate them. So Umar ibn Sa'ad said, don't let him go back to the tent, surround him from every side. Yes, O believers, they surrounded Abul Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam from every side. Then one of those evil men, he was hiding behind a palm tree. His name was Zayd ibn al-Raqad al-Jahni. This evil man, he ambushed Abul Fadl al-Abbas from behind, and with his sword he struck on the right arm of Abul Fadl al-Abbas. He cut the right arm of Abul Fadl al-Abbas, and then he said, Wallah in qata'tumu yamini, I swear by Allah, if you cut my right hand, you think I'll stop? I'll never give up. Abul Fadl al-Abbas still had hope. He still tried to go to the tents. He held now the bucket, he held the bucket with his mouth and his sword with his left arm. He still had the hope to take the water. But then, oh believers, another enemy, he came out of nowhere. He charged at Abul Fadl al-Abbas. This time he struck the left hand, the left arm of Abul Fadl al-Abbas. Now he lost his sword. But oh believers, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas still had some hope because he was still carrying the bucket. Maybe I'll still make it to the tent. Ya Allah, what happened to you? Ya Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, no hands. How can you fight now? Ey ahl haram dast alam dar juda shud. Ey ahl haram dast alam dar juda shud. سقای حرم با دولب تشنه فدا شد. Ya Allah, what happened to you? Ya Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Allahu Akbar. شد جدا دست علم دارم تنها ترین یارم. Imagine Imam Hussein now. He's watching from far. He's seeing that these enemies have surrounded his beloved brother. But oh believers, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, he still had some hope. So he still tried to go towards the tent. But then, oh believers, the tragedy came when they shot an arrow that went right through the bucket of water. It spilled and all the water spilled. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, at that point he stood. وَقَفَ مُتَحَيِّرًا. آقا متحیر بودن. چیکار بکنن؟ What can he do now at this point? Go to the tent? There's no water. What's the point? Fight? How can you fight when you don't have two hands? Ya Allah. At that point, they shot him with arrows. One of those enemies, he attacked him with an iron rod. He struck him. He smashed his head. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas fell to the ground. Akhi. Normally he'd call him my imam, but this time, Akhi, Abu Abdullah, alayka minni salam. Abu Abdullah, my final salam to you, my final farewell. Imam Hussein rushed to the scene to see what was happening. Oh believers, those who saw Imam Hussein, they realized his back was bent. The Imam could not stand up straight. The Imam looked at Abu al-Fadl. The water spilled, his two arms cut, his head smashed with an iron rod. There is a spear or an arrow in his eye. At that point, the Imam says, Akhi, الآن انكسر ظهري وقلت حيلتي. My dear brother, now my back has been broken. I lost you. That's it. There goes my army. There's no hope anymore. We are effectively defeated in this physical battle. I lost the defender of my army. Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Imam Hussein alayhi salam. You know what he did? You know how the woman found out that Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas was killed? Imam Hussein didn't carry the body of Abu al-Fadl back to the tents. Ali Akbar, he took him. Al-Qasim, he took him, but not Abbas. He kept him there by the river of Furat. You know what Imam Hussein did? Al-Abbas had a tent. It represented the banner of the army. Zainab, Sakina, they're watching. What is Hussein doing now? Any news from Abu Fadl al-Abbas? Any news from him? They saw Imam Hussein coming back to the tent. He went to the tent of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. He took the pole of the tent and he struck it down. At that point, the woman realized Abu Fadl al-Abbas was gone. They began to cry. Wa Abbas, wa akha. Ya Allah. Imam Hussein now lost all the men. There was no one to help him. Imam Hussein, all he could see is women and children crying. Al-Atash, Al-Atash. We are thirsty, we are thirsty. At that point, Imam al-Hussein, with a very heartbreaking tone, he said, "Ala hal min nasirin yansuruni?" Is there anyone to help me? ألا هل من ذنب يذب عنا? Is there anyone to protect us? Anyone to help these women and children? One narration says Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, he was lying down in the tent. He's extremely ill. He cannot move. But when he heard his father crying, he forced himself to stand. He was leaning on a cane and he was dragging his sword. It's as if he was telling, "Father, I'm here for you." He tried to come out of the tent. Imam Hussein said to Zainab, "Zainab, don't let him come out. If he's killed, the progeny of Rasulullah will be cut off. He cannot come. Take him back to the tents." The woman, they took him back to the tents. Ya Allah. Oh believers, but there was one soldier left. He was 6 months old. Zainab came to Imam Hussein. She told him, "Abu Abdullah, he's dying from thirst. See if you can get him some water." Ya Allah. Imam Hussein carried his son Abdullah al-Radi Ali Asghar. He took him to the battlefield. He told them, "Oh enemies, if you have no mercy on me, then what's the sin of this baby? You see, he's dying from thirst. Give him some water." Yeah, some of them, they felt bad. They said, "Let's give him water." Some said, "No, they don't deserve any water." When Umar ibn Sa'ad at that point, he looked at Harmala, who was a very experienced archer, and he told him, "Ya Harmala, iqta' niza' al-qawm." Oh Harmala, end the dispute now. Harmala knew what he had to do. He said, "I saw the whiteness of the neck of Ali Asghar while Imam Hussein was carrying him. He took out a three-headed spear, a three-headed arrow, and he shot Ali Asghar with it. It pierced his head." Imam Hussein said, "Hawwana ma nazala bi annahu bi'ayn Allah." When he saw the blood gushing, he said, "Oh Allah, what gives me consolation, what gives me patience is that you're watching." But he saw his beloved Ali Asghar slaughtered in his arms. Ya Allah, بسفيدية قلويته كثيرة نكات أصغر رسم كوفيست بقيران هدى مهمان را. Ya Allah, دست پایی زدی و باز تبسم کردی ای علی اصغر. Yes, you know, Ali Asghar, he took out his arms from the swaddle. One narration says he smiled as if he's saying, "Father, this is how they give me the cup of water." Ya Allah. Imam Hussein alayhi salam then took him back to the tents. The women and the children, they saw Ali Asghar killed and massacred. Oh believers, now we approach the final part of the Maqtal. This is Ashura Day. Don't hold back your tears. This is the most tragic day. Now, the tragedy of Imam Hussein himself comes here. Imam Hussein now saw that it's time for him to fight. He moved towards the enemies, raising his sword. He fought like a lion and killed many of them. Umar ibn Sa'ad yelled, "This is the son of the killer of the Arabs. This is the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Do not spare him. Surround him and fight him." The enemy surrounded the Imam and shot many arrows at him. Imam Hussein alayhi salam shouted at them. He told them, O followers of Abu Sufyan, if you have no religion at all and do not fear judgment day, then at least be free men in this world. They told him, what are you trying to say? He told them, as long as I'm alive, do not attack the tents. They said, okay. Imam Hussein went to the last time to farewell his family and children. Imagine this final meeting with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. He called on them one by one. Ya Zainab, wa ya Kulthum, wa ya Sakina, wa ya Ruqayya, wa ya Rabab. عليكن مني السلام هذا آخر الاجتماع وقد قرب منكن الافتجاع. My salam to you, O ladies. This is the final time, the last time that we shall meet. The tragedy has come near. And know that Allah will protect you. Know that your reward will be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He shall punish your enemies and He shall compensate you. Yes, O believers. At that point, Imam Hussein, he was now ready. He wore his full armor. He sat on his horse going out to the battlefield. As Imam Hussein was about to go to the battlefield, he heard a faint voice calling on him. Imam Hussein looked back. He sees his beloved Sakina, Sukaina. Yes, my dear daughter, what do you want? I just said bye to you. I'm going. Oh, believers, yes. You know what she said? She said, Father, come down from the horse. I have a request. He comes down from the horse. She tells him, Father, my beloved Hussein, put your hand on my head. Wipe my head like they do to the orphans, because soon you shall be killed and there will be no one to comfort me. Allahu Akbar. Imam Hussein embraced her. He told her, Sakina, you're breaking my heart. Allah is with you. Go back to the tents. Yes, the Imam alayhi salam, he tried to go to the battlefield. This time he also heard another voice calling on him. What is it this time? The Imam looked back. Zainab's calling him. Come Habibi, come my dear brother. Why Zainab? I have to go. I just farewelled you. Hussein, I must do something. Please come. Imam Hussein came down from his horse. He approached Lady Zainab alayhi salam. She told him, Aba Abdullah, show me your neck. Let me see your neck. Imam Hussein uncovered his neck. Lady Zainab, she kissed Imam Hussein on his neck. Then she looked towards Medina. She faced the direction of Medina. She said, Assalamu alayki ya ummah. My dear mother Fatima, I fulfilled your will and request. Imam Hussein told her, Zainab, what request are you talking about? She told him, Hussein, when I was young, before my mother died, she told me, when you see your brother Hussein lonely one day in the battlefield, I have a trust and amana, a request. Kiss him on his neck for me. Tell him this is from your mother, because that's where the sword shall cut his neck. Imam Hussein breaks into tears when he hears the name Fatima, his beloved mother Fatima. Ya Allah, the tragedy is nearing, oh believers. The Imam says his final farewell. He goes out to the enemies. He begins to fight them like a lion. But then, oh believers, they surround him from every direction. Those cowards, they could not take one-on-one combat. They begin to strike him with stones, with spears, with arrows, whatever they could. Then Abu al-Hutuf al-Ju'fi, may Allah curse him, he shot Imam al-Hussein with an arrow on his forehead. Ya Allah. Then another arrow was shot in the chest of Hussein. The Imam alayhi salam pulled the arrow. The blood started to flow, gushing from his body. The Imam collected that blood. The first time he threw it towards the sky and he says, Oh Allah, what gives me patience is that you're watching, you're with me. Then he filled his hands with blood the second time. He stained his beard, his blessed beard, with blood. And he said, هكذا ألقى جدي رسول الله. This is how I want to meet my grandfather, Rasulullah, stained with blood. I will tell him, grandfather, this is what they did to me. Ya Allah, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, in these final moments, look at the iman of Hussein, oh believers. In these moments, he's bleeding to death. He's surrounded with the enemy. He does not object to Allah. He says, Bismillahi wa billah wa ala millati Rasulillah ilahi ridan biqada'ik la ma'buda siwak. Oh Allah, I fully submit to you. Oh Allah, I only worship you. Help me, oh Allah. Take me to you, Ya Allah. Yes, oh believers. Now Imam Hussein remained powerless on the ground. Get ready, the tragedy is coming. He was losing more and more blood. The enemies, Umar ibn Sa'ad told him, go and kill him. What are you waiting for? Every time one of the enemies comes to kill the Imam, he ran back yelling. He says, by God, I could see the eyes of Rasulullah in his face. I can't kill him. I don't have the heart to kill him. Oh yes, oh believers, then one of those enemies by the name of Zar'a ibn Shuraik, may Allah curse him, he struck Imam Hussein on his shoulder. Another enemy, he hit Imam Hussein on his blessed mouth. Another enemy struck the Imam in his chest. Imam Hussein is saying, oh Allah, give me patience. Ilahi sabran ala qada'ik. Ya Allah, now Zainab is watching. Zainab is now on a hill. The Imam was in a low-lying area. Zainab comes to see what's going on. She sees Hussein, her beloved brother, surrounded. He's on the ground bleeding to death. When she sees the sight of Hussein in that situation, she says, Wa Muhammadia wa Aliya. I wish the world is destroyed right now and there's no one to help Abu Abdullah and Hussein. Then she yelled at Umar ibn Sa'ad. She told him, أَيُقْتَلُ أَبُو عَبْدِ اللَّهِ وَأَنْتَ تَنْظُرُ إِلَيْهِ. Umar ibn Sa'ad, you have no heart. You're looking at Hussein being killed and you just stand there. Ya Allah. وَيْحَكُمْ هَلْ فِيكُمْ مِنْ مُسْلِمٍ. Woe unto you, you evil man. There's no Muslim amongst you. You claim to follow Rasulullah. Rasulullah is his grandfather. How can you do this to him? Yes, Umar ibn Sa'ad replied, Zainab. You know what he said to Zainab? This was his reply. He says, go down to him, relieve him, meaning kill him. Oh believers, no one dared at this point to go and kill Abu Abdullah except that evil man. Here comes the tragedy. Can you imagine the condition of Imam Hussein? He's covered with his blood. He's sustained hundreds of injuries at this point. He's on the ground powerless. But now Shimr ibn al-Jawshan, he comes to Abu Abdullah and he kicks the Imam. Ya Allah, this is the tragedy now. He kicks al-Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. He strikes al-Imam al-Hussein on his chest, on his face 12 times. Zainab is watching. She sees Shimr taking out a dagger. Mi Davido, man, mi Davido. وسويا مقتل منسويا قاتل يا الله ومين نشستو من مين نشستو وروسينا من در مقابل ومي كشيدو من مي كشيدو يا الله ومي بريدو من مي بريدو يا الله Oh, believers, I don't know how to say this. Shimr is sitting on the chest of Abu Abdullah. I don't have the energy to tell you what happened. Zainab is watching. All I can say is suddenly a fierce wind began to blow. Yes, there was a dust storm in Karbala. Ya Allah. All Zainab could see is the dust flying everywhere. She could not see what's happening to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Then suddenly, when the dust settled, Zainab sees the head of Imam Hussein on the spear. حسينا وحسينا وحسينا حسينا وحسينا وحسينا غريبا وغريبا وغريبا مظلوما ومظلوما ومظلوما حسينا وحسينا وحسينا حسينا وحسينا وحسينا غريبا وغريبا وغريبا شهيدا وشهيدا وشهيدا حسين